Right. Good morning, everyone. I'll be brief because the commissioner doesn't really need much of an introduction in this space. We've all seen him all over the city. Ydanis Rodriguez is extremely proud always to speak from his experience as a New Yorker, as an immigrant, a native Spanish speaker, and as somebody who really puts equity at the heart of everything we're doing and works hard to advance our work for safer streets in every corner of the city. So without further ado, I'll welcome the commissioner up to deliver his remarks.
Thank you. I don't know how many of you know who was the first non-Native American who settled in New York City. Anyone guess? Juan Rodriguez. Juan Rodriguez. I don't know if he was my uncle. He was Rodriguez in the house. He was a free black man. And of course, I used to be a social studies teacher. And never DOE. It's included that in the curriculum. So we think about the Dodge, and the Dodge. And thank you for all the contribution of the Dodge. But Juan Rodriguez was brought by the Dodge to translate to the Native American. He was a free black man from the island of Hispaniola, now Dominican Republic and Haiti. And in 1613, he was brought, he refused to continue going to Europe. And they paid him a few hatches. And he used those tools to get into this area of Manhattan. And that's the type of thing that we are so responsible, as those individuals that play important leadership roles, understanding that, yes, I'm the kid on the block. My second job was doing sandwiches there in that building. And I used to take and it was a promotion because my first job was washing dishes. Our heavy restaurant went 46 hours. And now my daughter's 17 and 11 sometime, when I have walked through here, I want for her to remember. Because we all have to realize we still are a baby when it came to a city and nation being developed. Think about China, 5,000 year history, knowing the Ming, the Han, the Ho, the Tang dynasty. If you came from India, thousands of years also. If you are, a Jewish, there's thousands of years of history. And if you are South Asian, if you are Black, Bob Marley says sort of shit through the Caribbean or the two Americans. At the end of the day, there's one more land. So I want to put the conversation in perspective about where are we today and where do we see the city moving forward? If another natural disaster such as Ida, Maria, Sandy, Katrina doesn't, destroy our planet. And that's where this conversation, had to be seen, had to be put in perspective. This is not a joke, this is real. We cannot guarantee that, next year or a month from now, we will not be dealing with another natural disaster that can destroy all of us. So I appreciate, the commitment that all of us have to make our society safer for the present and the future generation. And as someone that my first experience of activism was taking over CUNY in 1989, 1991, when we marched and we persuaded Mario Cuomo not to increase tuition and to cut the budget. I live with the same experience. I will never be the person who now I'm 59, turn 60 or 70 and talk about what I used to do. Life is not about what you used to do, it's how do you live your whole life. So those of you that have chosen to be working in the advocate community, in the academic community, in the governmental community, the first and most important pledge is to dedicate our whole life. What we are doing is not a job. Yes, we have to pay the bill, but this is like a style that we have chosen to live. This is, we are working in the shoulders of previous people that took into the sustainability and made commitment in their life. And again, those of you who know me, you know that I'm not playing around. I truly believe in this. And if there's something that I told my daughter 17, 11 is about the person that you see today is the person that I was 20, 30 years ago. When I came in 1983 at the age of 18, I not only came to provide cheap labor, I also can reorganize ideas. And that's why in all the movement that we all have been fighting for justice, fighting for immigrants, fighting for climate justice, economic justice, we all been there. So thank you for your dedication. I know that taking it Friday, to be here, to be part of this conversation. The first question that sometimes we ask, what is the purpose? Why we come together? This is another forum. This is another platform. Well, I already believe that, for thousands of years, human beings need to have a space where to share ideas. And yes, we use social media. Yes, we use that technology as today, but it is so important for we to continue coming together, for no one believe that I have the whole truth because I'm in government and you have the whole truth because you have the privilege to have your grandfather who was a professor, your father who is a lawyer, and you were grown up with all those resources. A new asylum seeker may have best or the same idea that we have on how to improve our society. And that's what I want, again, for all of us to think about it when we hold this conversation. Look, after decades of doing a lot of things in my life, I was elected to the council in 2011. I always been ready when it came to all my bills, all the initiatives that come to climate justice. And I've been doing it because I believe it's the right thing to do. So after those 2 years being a council member, all the year being a member of the Transportation Committee, then I became the chairman of the transportation for the last 8 years. Then I was so, lucky to be seen by Mayor Ydanis, who I met in 1989 when I was a student activist and he was a transit police and he went to a Staten Island when CUNY wanted to expel the student. So we know how many decades we've been fighting together. So but today's conversation is about, what are we doing in terms to improve our environment, or how we take it into the sustainability. With Mayor Adams' leadership, we have made real progress on expanding and improving our Greenway. All of you know, because you follow the data, we secured a $7 million raise grant from USDOT in 2022, which is allowing us to invest in the future of our Greenway. Among the most exciting of those investments, and you will hear from more details with Ted and other members of our agency, we have already engaged with many in the Bronx community about what they want to see in the Greenway, connecting the Bronx from Randall's Island to Vancouver Park. That's a big corridor that we have there. And we want to reconnect those communities that were divided by Moses in the past. So this is going to be an opportunity for biking, for walking, for access to the waterfront. We continue to work with our partners from EDC and Park. And I know they also been part of this conversation. And let's give them a big round of applause because of the partnership between the Park Department and EDC. We continue to work to partner with them on the other exciting long-term Greenway projects. And together, we've been taken to the Southeast Queens, on the North Shore, Staten Island, along Ocean Parkway and Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn, along the South Road. And it's not just planning. It's not just planning, it's also, a commitment. And when we have joined EDC early this year, they finished a portion of the Greenway in the Midtown area of the East Side. But as we plan, and again, one thing that I got to be credit to previous people in government is that not many people in government take big projects. Because big projects are projects that you do the groundbreaking, but you don't see the ribbon cut. So the East Midtown Greenway started decades ago. And here we had the opportunity to be the one doing the ribbon cut. We are taking into access to our bike lane. And I want to end this there, so we leave the opportunity for any question or comment. Developing our infrastructure, go from 34th Avenue, that we reimagine 1.8 mile of a street that was only for car. And as we did it with Times Square, also that used to be a store for car, use it for a concept of 40,000 people. Now the 34th Avenue, it also provides opportunity for biking, for walking. Citywide is gonna be, a big project that as we've been expanding, we're looking to see how, and the mayor said that he's open to public dollars to see how we can expand the citywide, not only in the middle class community, but also in the working class. So I'm gonna be here because I know that time. Thank you.
You have a question on an index card, it's just hold it up and about it. Yeah, look. Okay. All right, so. First card. Transportation is like a prism to reflect all life issues, how we get to school, work, and play. Just like education, we must fund it sustainably. How will New York City DOT ensure full funding for greenways in New York City?
Well, the first thing that I want to inform everyone, because when I used to be a teacher and DOE used to send their leadership people from Tweed to go and do a staff development. One of our approach that we have as a teacher was commissioner, and people from DOE come and go, but we stay right in the classroom because we were a tenured teacher. So when it comes to creating, investing more in the infrastructure, it also has to come. We understanding the role that we play because commissioner come and go. So we need to leave the agency in a better place. What I'm doing at DOT, I can say, is amazing when it comes to how we've been able to connect the word that Lysander, Iris, Polly, and all the previous commissioners did it. Last year, we did 32 miles of protected bike lane. The street master plan was a bill that I passed when I was the chairman of the transportation committee. So when anyone from the Riders Alliance, from TA, from Family for Save the Street, that put it and the rightful question about why are able to do all the protected bike lane. The first thing that I tell people is about we did 32 mile protected bike lane in 2023. And yes, as New Yorkers, we deserve and we demand more. But those 32 miles of protected bike lane were more than the numbers of protected bike lane that all largest city built together in the United States. So we have more bus lane than any other city also in the nation. Can we do more? Yes. What are the challenges that we have when it comes to continue expanding the infrastructure? Now we have to take the time to go and help to educate those great New Yorkers that live in underserved community that they've been left out. Transportation has been always a conversation among people that have high level of education. And that's what I bring as a commissioner of DOT. That I've been living in Inwood, and it's one of my colleagues living in Inwood, but if you live in Seaman, if you live in Fort Washington, it's not the same if you live in Baldwin Avenue, and if you live on Shepard Avenue. If you will see most of the speed bump, most of the infrastructure that have happened in Inwood have not been more in the east side. It's more in the upper west side, where there's more stronger and organized voices. So one of the things that I would like to invite here, and more than happy to do it, why don't we think about it? Not to say yes or no now. Let's put a walk, every 4 months, agency and advocate in underserved communities. Because if you want to talk about transportation, it's like education too. If you send your kid to a school that the PTA raised $2 million, it's not the same as a school is in the underserved community. So when it comes to transportation, what I've been doing is also bringing the agency to the community that they were never part of that conversation. I've been turning the agency as an agency that must look like the city. Like when I was, at CUNY, one of the great professors and lawyer, Ron McGuire, who was an Irish American who joined the Black and Latino in the 60s, and he was expelled, he came back to be the lawyer of the student. He was very conscious about when we put any mechanism to talk about a great idea, guys, that mechanism must be diverse. Like cannot be only, it's like I was part of the Occupy Wall Street. And what happened in the movement was that the leadership was mainly led by white male. So we had to take decision to say how we share the space. Because what happens in transportation is when we go to the South Bronx, we go to places that people are not being part of the conversation. When it comes to transportation, then we get frustrated. And then we say, well, you're not doing that project because you agency putting Commissioner Rodriguez aside, you don't want to do it. No, in order to do a bus lane, in order to do a bike lane, we hit big rock. Because sometimes we bring in those projects to community that people are more car cultural oriented. So what I believe is important, one, we all recognize that as education, transportation is a human right. All individuals must be connected with good public transportation. Why 76% of people like me who live in Manhattan don't have car? Because we have the best public transportation network. Because we had a good train from the east to the west. Because we have all the buses. So to have a vehicle is a luxury. But if you live in some places in Bronx, in Queens, that as a teacher, you have to walk 15 blocks from the train station to the school where you're teaching, then it's a different reality. So I feel that we just have to continue having this conversation about how we got here, how we live in a separated society, as a school is the same thing. We have good public school, but if you look those good public school, the grandfather went there, he's a lawyer. The father went to the public school and he's a doctor. And that's a public school that even though we apply, we don't get a seat. Because it's a limited space. So again, I feel that the conversation on transportation must be a democratic process. Those of us that have been raised, having a father who took me to a conversation about transportation, let's also now do my part, helping other people, other community, that they were not part of the conversation, and let's stop speaking for them. Let's work so that can speak with their vocal voices. And sometimes it would mean that I would not have a chair for me to sit in, because I was committed to give that chair to another person who had never been part of the conversation about transportation.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. I think we'd all love to take walks in neighborhoods throughout this. Oh, wait, there are more questions. Neighborhoods throughout the city every 4 months. All right, so question. I live near the Eastern Queens Greenway. Although the routes are great and adjacent to CB13, there's no protected bike lanes to bring residents of CB13 to our Greenway. What can we do to increase access from adjacent neighborhoods without easy access? I think this applies to Greenway access all over the city. Some of our Greenway infrastructure is excellent, but it's very hard to get to it. So what are you doing to make it easier to get to Greenways?
Well, if I would be only the Ydanis Rodriguez, the activist, I can tell you, like, I would be asking for millions and more things than the Ydanis Rodriguez as a commissioner can do right now. So one of the things as a member, former member of the BNT at the city council, or the leadership team at the city council, and negotiating from the golden rule legislation with the city hall, we find out that we have limited resources. So it's like when the vision for Broadway, and we all should see Broadway being connected from Union Square to Columbus Circle. That's a goal. That's a goal that we have, to turn in the big corridor. When we take the project, the vision for the Fifth Avenue, which is important too. What happens sometimes is when it comes to adding all the investments, we have limited resources. So one thing is about, like, to do major projects in a city that we have limited budget. One is about the funding. Second is about some community, they don't have the voices to pushing us big. But I know that Ted will probably expand later on in his part when it came to be more specific on where are we with that project and what is the potential to move forward.
Okay. Next question. You mentioned correcting the mistakes of Robert Moses's past in the Bronx. Currently, State DOT is proposing a $150 million elevated roadway expanding the Cross Bronx. What are your thoughts on this?
It's like, as you say, like, when we say, and again, and I know that we've been in the same train, I know that we have the same commitment but sometimes we have to have comfortable and uncomfortable conversation. Because sometimes it's like, it's like, maybe we took over the night shot in the last administration, was the moment when we figure out that how those stairs, they didn't have a quality of air, how we found out that those apartment was not for people to live this in. Those things been happening there for decades, right? We decided not to see. Sometimes as American, we choose to forget. So when we look to the crossroads, I think that there's a great opportunity. But however, the process right now is only for the community engagements. When it comes to what is possible on the crossroads, on capping the crossroads, on redeveloping the area, on giving justice to those individuals, that most of the people who die on COVID live in areas such as near the crossroads. So my take on the COVID was about COVID per se didn't kill. And we lost a lot of loved ones, and we didn't want one person to die. But most people who died, they were the poorest one. They were the people that live in places didn't ask them to visit. So I think that we have seen that nightmare in those communities. When we went there, in those schools near the crossroads, you can see the window. You know, how the window like comes so dirty because all the pollution produced by the trucks. So definitely, I hope that, you know, the process as we are going through right now, which is the community engagement, will produce great idea. And then from those ideas, then we will have to identify city, state, and federal funding to do that project. We as voices are people who care that are in the advocate group or in the academia or in government. That moment when the moment came, the question is always, we want to share the resources. Because when you go in the federal grant application, there's gonna be all the federal grant application, and then the moment will be, if any project that I would like to see being applied in the community where I live, is something that I will compromise to not to push for that project and take into down, because the ideal thing will be, well, but we can do all of them. Reality is that we will not get all the grant. So right now it's more focused on the plan, and based on the planning and as we, Mayor Ydanis and all of both being committed to establish a mechanism that people speak for themselves, that is a grassroots movement. So when it comes to the engagement, so at this moment it's only based about capping the crossroad and thinking big about what we can do in the crossroad is something that again, not only as a commission, but as someone who cares for climate justice and committed to keep pushing.
Okay, so you talk about hitting a rock in some communities, but you're also extremely proud to have sponsored the Streets Master Plan. Isn't implementing it a matter of leadership?
It is, and I know it, like, that's, you know, when I have seen my gray hair, you know, and now that I'm fearful that I did after all those hard work, that silent seeker of people like me that can bring car, we do as all your family that came here 200 years ago, they had to do first. So it means like, you know, I know that the Street Master Plan, it was a plan that I passed, that I sponsored, that I was the Chamber Transportation Committee, that TA helped and all the advocates to write the plan and all the council members to help us to do it for the right thing. However, I also want you to look about the composition of the council today. Like the composition that I have when I was a chairman in my committee, I have Steve Levin, I have Mark Levine, I have Antonio Reynosa. You know, I had like most of the members, they were people who were really at the council advocating for all those big projects to take place. Now we have a different council, and I'm proud to be working in many initiatives that we do together. But reality is, and I've been, you know, like told them in any hearing, like don't come and get a talking point on, you know, a good line on saying, oh, but commissioner, why you are not doing all this protected by name, all the post lane? Well, when we go to foreign, then what we heard is about no post lane in other places, but not in Club, okay? So I feel that it is about leadership. And I'm proud when I took the office, I met with TA and I met with Back New York, and we also agreed that it's not only about the quantity of the protected by lane, but it's also about the quality of those protected by name. And that's what we are focusing on right now. And of course, whatever we are doing it. For me, I'm proud of the great work that we have, the great team with Ted, Eric Dayton in the planning. No other city has a level of commitment of people in agency as we have at DOT. New York City DOT is the largest and most complex transportation system that we have when we compare to any other city here in the United States. So it's not, we are not doing everything that we want, but I'm proud with all the accomplishment that is part of the Street Master Plan, because Street Master Plan is also about justice. It's not only about bus lane, it's not only about bike lane. When we did the Street Master Plan, the dining out was not included in the Street Master Plan. Before COVID, New York City only had 1,200 sidewalk effect. Today, by this day, we have 3,500 applications for dining out. When we did the Street Master Plan, we didn't have Summer Street. Now, in our time, Summer Street being expanded from 7 miles, that was only from 40 square to 79. All my respect, all my love to whoever live in that area, but it is in our time that we expanded to 20 miles, up to Harlem, 125, plus going to Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx Zoo. When we did the Street Master Plan, we didn't include the open street. Last year, we had 237 open street, all of them being partnered with CDOs or business improvement districts. So we want to do more, but when I look about everything that we've been able to accomplish, not only led by those at DOT, but working together with the other agency, and most important with the applicant, let's continue working, making DOT accountable. I love to play that role, to be the person that had to respond to all the demand, but I'm very proud of all the work that we as New York have been doing, being a role model nation.
Next question. How can we build support for a city agency like DOT to apply for federal funds for a comprehensive design for the Bronx Harlem River waterfront greenway?
At the moment, hopefully, we will not be the ninth mayor in Washington, D.C. And we will have people in Washington, D.C. and in the Department of Transportation who really continue supporting the work that cities such as New York, that we have benefited with hundreds of millions of dollars. And one of the last ones that we have is $27 million to install charges for e-bike near NYC building. We have received all the millions of dollars to do more electrical charges. So I'm proud of knowing, most of us know Paul's number, to have a great New Yorkers, in a leadership position. To have Joe, who is also in the budget division of also all the U.S. Department of Transportation. It's good to have great allies. So the first thing I'm hoping that Washington D.C. will continue having leadership who care for climate justice, and understanding that fracking is a crime, that we can, continue providing all the energy that we need without getting into fracking. So I just hope again that the first thing is about doing the best we can to be sure that the leadership in DC continue being accountable, and all of those working together, regardless what happened in DC, we can never give up. And we all have to come together. We put in letter of support, speaking to our representative to bring the resources that New Yorkers deserve. We provide more revenue to the federal government than what the federal government bring back to the city. So whatever the federal government allocates to us is not based about we begging, it's about our tax dollar money that also must come up.
Okay. How would you recommend we put forward a grand vision of connected greenways linking all boroughs, including the East Coast Greenway to Connecticut, New Jersey, and beyond? Understanding that for pedestrians and cyclists, greenways are like an interstate system or like the transit network. They're comparable.
As I said, I was part of the Occupy Wall Street, and when the Occupy movement was over, and I told people, some people say, oh, but the movement is not in Socali Park anymore. Say, well, the movement is not there, but the movement is in the union. He was the same member of the movement who they joined the fight protecting the fast food workers. He was the same members of the Occupy Wall Street who also joined 1199 on the union, and they embraced good causes. It is the same members of the movement who also went back to the school, went back to the college, fighting for a justice in New York City. So, the immediate answer will be, I can tell you from the government, of it, 2 or 3 things that we can do, but the reality to this group is that let's continue developing this coalition. Like, I feel that, we live in a moment of time where we all recycle from each other. Today are in government. Some of you are advocates, some of you are professors, some of you are researchers. Tomorrow, one of you will be the person in the government. Tomorrow, you can be someone that is in the private sector, pushing the private sector to do more and better on this important initiative. So what I feel is that the value of coming together in a Friday morning, as you did it yesterday, let's know, sometimes we get tired. Sometimes we get frustrated. Sometimes even when the people say, oh, but you're going to that conversation, have you not been in many of those conversations for decades, those local initiatives? Why are you, spending time? And sometimes I know that you go to an auditorium pushing for the rights of those riders, those who use the buses, that most of them are working class. Most of them, they don't feel that their voices will be heard. Most of them still live in area that some of the electeds, some of the people from the government, they don't pay the same attention. So one, let's continue developing a coalition. As a commissioner, I'm more than happy to do my part, working together with the other leaders in the agency. But at some point, we will not be commissioned. And we have to continue understanding that climate justice is so needed. And we have a big responsibility, because if we don't take care of our planet, if we don't take care to educate our people, how important it is to ride a bike half an hour every day, increase 6 years to the life of an individual in average. So we have to bring those conversations. We have to get insurance going. We have to get the city to negotiate a contract. Whereas we establish the fair fare also should include, the city bike. The fair fare should also include a membership also for someone, to use all the motor transportation beside our train. So I feel again that we have accomplished a lot of great things in the city. I can tell you that even though here, our job is to be accountable, but when we go to any conversation in the West Coast or in the East Coast, in other countries, people are looking at us on how New York City is leading when it comes to bike lane, bus lane, dining out, creating more open streets. So with that, thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, and just to close this out though, what most excites you about the vision for a connected, protected Greenway network that goes to every neighborhood in New York City?
I think that, change doesn't happen overnight. I take my daughter to vote with me, but she would think that in 1910, as a woman, she could vote, right? When I walk in any part in Inglewood, and we've been doing all those big projects, people would think about that project happened overnight. The first thing is, one, as a former teacher that I spent 50 years in the classroom, understanding that every day we learn. So when I was in the classroom, I came from the cooperative learning, approach is about we all learn together. And I applied the same thing at DOT. We have almost 6,000 men and women at DOT. And I told them every day, I work for you guys. My job is to be sure that I support the men and women at DOT. My job is for everyone to know what is the role of DOT. DOT manages 27% of the land of our city, our roadway, our sidewalk. When we did the Macy Day Parade, it is our director of bridges, Paul, and his team, that from now, he has been working with the Macy engineer to be sure that the new balloon will follow the standard. When we do the marathon, it is our team to go and mark. When we enjoy the 5 Borough Bike Tours, we at DOT are co-producer with Kimball Siba with that event. So DOT job, more than 95%, is to take care of the pothole. It's to take care of the 13,700 intersection that we have signaled. The job of DOT to be sure that the Staten Island Ferry continue being run. Is to be sure that the 800 bridges and tunnels are in good repair. But we don't stop there. And because we had a great team that they do those operation job every day, they by Margaret Figioni, my first deputy commission operation, then we had a time to spend this time, not only talking about the great thing that we have done, but it's also, as you've been asking or bringing the question from the audience, is what more can we do? And those are legitimate questions. And we all should be asking that question. What more can we do? My question to you to think about is about how I can adopt an initiative in an underserved community. Because when my daughter went to the Montessori school, it's not the same thing to go to the Hippo Park than if you go to a playground in the underserved community. It's not the same thing to say, well, by New York, city bike was here, but if I live at 34, I can take my city bike on the Upper West Side. Than if you live in Inwood, where 80% of the people who live there, they had to travel an hour and a half to go to work. So that approach also has to come with all of us to understanding. We can give an easy answer. So no, but we do it every day. We advocate it every day. I know wasting my shot. And for me, it's about I want to challenge you too. To understanding that there's the voices of people in underserved community that they have never been heard. And that's what I say, how important it is for us to continue doing the great job. Because sometimes we have to be the voice of the voiceless. But the reason sometimes we don't have all the base support from some part of the city is because the conversation of transportation having something more of people with high level of education. Having more people, when you look about the underserved community, they have never had a seat on the table. And you don't fill out the seat because, well, Ydanis Rodriguez brought someone who is a person of color who sit in this meeting. It's about understanding that we are a city that from the Italian, the Irish, the Jewish, the Black, and the Latino, and the South Asian, the women LGBTQ, we have to fight so hard to get a space. And I can tell you, as someone that not only was born and raised in Dominican Republic, not only been living in Inwood, but I've been committed to continue living in the underserved part of Inwood, so that people who look like me, they also can understand that if Ydanis Rodriguez, who came here to wash dishes, now as a commissioner of DOT, I can do the same job too. And I can have influence in the society, not only being agency, not only being elected, but also joining a tenants association. So it's about continue the work, and let's be committed to identify a different way on how we also bring other people who have been left out to be part of this conversation. When we add more people, our voices are stronger, and we'll be able to bring more resources. Thank you.
Thank you.